Oh, and you have a cat visitor. Is the baby is the baby asleep?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got approximately 20 minutes.
And before we start,
What you said. It's not for you. Not for you, dude.
today's podcast is brought to you by Michelob Ultra Pure Gold. Not yet a sponsor, but our business email is in the description.
Ta-da! Yeah, that's all we need. You know, we gotta pimp them out. All right. So as you can see over my shoulder here, we're doing rites of passage. So if an alien, that was my terminology. Oh, we're about to get a cat butthole in the video here.
He's really obsessed with this
Hey,
one.
I heard that cats show you their butthole if they like you. So that cat must like your viewers. All
He
four
must
of them.
like me a lot. 'Cause it's like,
That's all all he shows. Anyway, so before we were rudely interrupted by an anus, is if an alien comes to Earth and has never played a video game and sees somebody like, what are you doing? Or somebody like a little kid who is growing up, like you don't want to start them on a super difficult game. You want them to experience the way like the video games the way that you experienced it. So so today's topic is those rites of passage for video games. So I have a giant list. I don't think anybody else. Actually, something I forgot is before we start, you can see with Steven, there is a little guest. So how about Steven does this introduction?
all right. All right. Welcome to the chat. So, all right.
You can just talk
welcome to the
normal.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast, guys. I'm co-host Steven along with Colin and Matt, the dumpster bum. And today's guest is my cat's butthole and also my wife, Shannon, who occasionally plays with us online.
Cat's butthole.
Welcome to the podcast, Shannon.
Thanks, Matt's dog.
And cat's butthole. Don't forget the cat's butthole.
Oh, we won't. I'll see it in my sleep.
Excellent. Wow. All right. So I have. So I'll go ahead and start us off here since I have a gigantic list of games that I remember as a kid, and even like some of these, like I didn't play much, but I feel like everybody should experience like different aspects. Like you got to have a fighting game and a puzzle game and a sports game and a racing game and all that stuff. So I kind of have a bunch of different categories, but I think the first. And you can go either way. You either have to start with like the original Mario Brothers or Donkey Kong. I feel like it's to me either one, like the first intro of Mario with Donkey Kong, I think it's a great starter for me, and then kind of jump into the original Super Mario and have giant headaches from that because of how impossibly hard it is to beat. But yeah, I think that. And Matt was frozen for a second. There you go.
I want to say you have to go back further than that and a little more simpler than that if you're just introducing someone to a video game. Well, not Pong, but very similar. But I always felt like Combat, which was basically Pong, just with a square instead of a paddle. You'd have the tank that would move up and it would shoot, right? That was super simple and, sweet and old. That's where you got to start.
I mean, I kind of liked the Donkey Kong platform because all you got to do is jump and move, so it's like super basic. But yeah, I remember the tank thing. So yeah, that's
I
not
think
bad.
it was called Combat, and all it was one button because it was Atari 2600. They hit the orange button to fire, and then you just moved up and down. I don't think at that point you could move like right or left. Maybe you could, but it was whack.
I feel like you could. I mean, I had an Atari as like a little kid, but we didn't have it for very long, and I think we only had like 2 games.
And I think
all I can remember.
Very similar to your game, I would say Dig Dug, which was very much very.
Nope, he just hit his camera button.
No, my
He's trying to click on his list, probably.
No, my phone is pretending like it's out of juice. Son of a bitch.
All that furry hentai you've been watching.
Yeah, right.
didn't
I
take
had
long.
my phone. I had my phone charging just for this.
What is that? I have no idea.
That was the German dungeon.
That's
All right,
Colin
well-
for German dungeon porn. Yeah,
All right,
you got
well,
it, Colin.
so Steven or Shannon, one of you guys, like, what were like some of your first games that like would be a requirement for somebody?
Man, you'd have to do like Ms. Pac-Man on the arcade.
For sure.
Like, that one's pretty good and extra frustrating.
I think you got to do like the tabletop. Remember, like the little tabletop where you like
yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
2-person. You have to sit down at it. Like just like the Pizza Hut, kind of where near I grew up. One of those. That was I think it was a Miss Pac-Man. It was amazing. Those are good times as a little kid. Yeah, that's it.
Or Tetris.
And Tetris, I think is definitely a good starter. Man, like there's like I was gonna say, that's like the top 8 on my list right there is Pac-Man / Miss Pac-Man, Tetris, and the one that I almost forgot and I put on towards the end was one of like the first originals was Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
Like Duck Hunt is kind of a requirement. I mean that'll
you
take
just
you
always
off.
wanted to shoot that dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's like that's how much like spending all your time trying to shoot the dog.
Which I didn't know that the second player controls the ducks. Which I guess Colin, you knew that.
I did know that. Yeah.
I didn't have any friends to play with me, so I didn't know. I just cried by myself because I got the ducks in anger.
Playing Duck Hunt by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Street Fighter 2, like the original, I thought sucked, but Street Fighter 2, I spent a lot of time between that. I was trying to debate. You're shaking your head no, but like
No, I'm telling you, you two are like reading half my list.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Street Fighter 2, I felt like is a good one. Like I almost picked like Mortal Kombat, but I think I personally spent more time with Street Fighter 2 over the original like Mortal Kombat. This would have been SNES days, I guess.
Mortal Kombat would have to be one for me. My brother and I spent a lot of time playing that, especially with the special moves with the Scorpion there.
Fatalities.
Get over here. Yeah, I think
Shoot.
having those 2 classic fighting games,
Yeah.
one or the other would be great. I think that's kind of like when fighting games was at like its first peak. Because nothing else came before that was like those 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, like shortly after that, there was like Tekken, which was like a little more 3D. It was kind of cool, but thought on like either one of those 2. And I think Mortal Kombat 11 is about to come out now, so
yeah,
it's insane. I played a little bit of 10, but
yeah, they're still making Street Fighters too. So
it's amazing that stuff has gone on so long. Which one do I want to hit next? I guess like on the SNES, sticking with that, like Legend of Zelda. I mean, you got multiple options there, but like Link to the Past, that was my personal opinion. There's like Ocarina of Time or whatever is also okay, but my opinion, I always thought Link to the Past was the best. Matt, what else you got?
Well,
what other games you gonna bust
Tetris, I think Tetris is like one of those games, that you had to have played that, right? And anyone else that you would say, hey, play this game would be Tetris.
And might also be worthy with the Mario is Super Mario World. I mean, I don't know if you just want to do the original Mario. I don't know. It's very debatable because like I thought Super Mario 2 kind of sucks, but 3 and Super Mario World are probably my favorite 2.
3.
yeah.
So yeah, I would say either
actually,
one of those.
yeah, you guys touched on Pong, which I think Pong and Tetris are like very classic, approachable puzzle games like anybody can play.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking at like aliens coming down and being like, this is where they started with games, they'd probably be like, oh, it's so simple, but it's like kind of has a little bit of depth to it, the concept. Yeah, I put in Mario Brothers, the original, or 3, or World, or 64.
Yeah.
I want to say Mario Brothers because it was kind of like its originality, but the other one's definitely have much better gameplay. And you touched on the Street Fighter too. my only caveat on that is the Championship Edition. I think that has more characters and is a little bit more developed. And
Is that like the one that like came out like 5 years after?
Kind of, I guess. It had like Vega and Sagat and
Oh,
Bison. I don't know.
Okay,
like,
yeah. I don't think it was that long then. It may have
Yeah.
just been like 1 or 2 years later.
And the one I think would be ironic for Aliens is Galaga.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the arcade version. I mean, I'm sure that was on like the original NES, but I think you have to play it on the arcade
I'm thinking arcade, yeah.
for sure.
Arcade. Can't forget Joust then.
I always hated Joust, but I get it. I think that's worthy of somebody playing. Maybe just because I sucked. That is not an easy game,
No, it's not.
Joust. So you mentioned 64, like Mario 64. So I think Mario Kart 64, which my opinion was like light years ahead of the original on the SNES. So I would say 64. And if you're talking 64, first person shooter.
Oh my God! How did I forget about that?
Golden.
Oh yeah, GoldenEye. I think GoldenEye like has to be the first person shooter you have to bust out for somebody.
Yeah, I actually put Modern Warfare just because it's the most developed and like massive first person shooter right now, and it's so. I had so many old games. I want something a little bit new, but yeah, GoldenEye would be like perfect.
I think GoldenEye or like the original Doom on PC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was also a very good first person shooter.
They should have been like a top 10 rites of passage.
It was Doom. I can't think of an older first person shooter.
Wolfenstein.
Oh, Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, was there anything older?
There's Wolfenstein, Doom, and Duke Nukem. I don't know. I think Wolfenstein was first.
You're probably right. I feel like Duke Nukem was a little later.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. I mean, along the lines of like Mario, you got Sonic. Is that worth mentioning?
No.
Yeah.
I think Sonic is like a C-rate Mario wannabe. I mean, you could talk to anybody. They'll know Mario. Sonic, they might, or like have played that, but I know more people spend more time playing Mario games.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
That's in my top 5, top 10, or whatever.
Yeah, Sonic would never make anybody's like top 5 or top 10 list of a rites of passage. I don't think that's gonna happen. I had sports games. Oh, Star Fox.
Yeah.
Not for me. I think what episode talk about like it was like the Wheel of Questions. It was like the most overrated game. And I think I busted out. I talked about Final Fantasy, but then I think I hinted at Star Fox. I feel like Star Fox is like the most overrated game of all time.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh,
that's
man,
great. It's great. And 64 is even better. Yeah, 64 is actually really good.
I can hear that stupid frog in my head right now.
Beep, 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 beep.
So
I'm going to
stupid.
call you. Next time I call you, I'm going to be like beep, 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 beep.
That's what my phone sounds like anyway.
Yeah, with that Wi-Fi shit. Every time I call him, I can't get through half a conversation. Half of it's like like Matt was doing earlier at the beginning of the podcast. We haven't heard from Matt in a while.
Yeah, Matt, we need more games from you.
Well, I think I need a new cell phone since my phone was like 100% charged, and then 2 minutes into the meeting, it dies or says it's less than 20%. So obviously it doesn't work properly. I'm having a lot of trouble hearing. So hopefully you guys can hear me and my audio doesn't sound like Steven's when you do this. Yeah. Is
that copyright?
We're so off key, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So a couple games that I was thinking about there was like Frogger was a classic game. I think it's important for people to play that haven't ever played games. We said Pong.
Pong and Frogger.
Yeah.
Frogger was a good one. I didn't even think about Frogger. That's
Yeah, Frogger just popped into my head because I was thinking about just like the Donkey Kong, how it's just a movement
Mhm.
of back and forth. I also thought like going back, Excite Bike was always like one of the first, kind of like extreme sports kind of video games. So it had, it lended itself to that. Super simple game, but
Excite Bike was the
you know-
first game that I played that had a level builder built into it.
Yeah.
You could build your
Ramps.
course
and-
basically. Yeah, and that was cool.
But it didn't save, did it? Like you couldn't like make it because it was like on the original NES.
Yeah, I think you made it and then you played it. I'm not sure. I have no idea.
I was
But
thinking about
that'd be a
Excite
good-
Bike like 2-3 weeks ago actually, and I was like, yeah, I can't save this.
But that's a good observation, Steven. You're right. It had basically it was the creator, like in
Mhm.
GTA, but you couldn't save it. I think you're right. You couldn't save it.
If I was 20 years younger, I would definitely be all over that GTA creator, that map creator. I would have the time to do it. I think I would have loved that as a teenager. And speaking
Like
of GTA,
the races.
yeah, all that shit. Yeah, all
they're
that stuff. So GTA is on my list because
Same.
because it's one of my favorite games, but it is so expansive. And I think that game has so many other aspects to it. I think it's a complete game that an alien would be like, "Oh, this is really fucking cool,"
Yep. Yeah, are you talking like specifically like GTA 5?
I think so because it has the most to it, and it's such a huge game and it's so popular. So I look at my list, I'm like, how big is this game? How well known is it? How many players it have? And they're still having people buying it today in 2020.
I still
When
think
they
it's on
came
the
out-
top 10 list.
They make billions off of it.
It's insane. What 2012 October 2012? Is that right?
Wow.
Or is it 2013? Either way,
2013.
2013. So it's been virtually
October.
7 years.
What about something like? I mean, this is not a game that I've played. I know Colin's played it, but Minecraft. I think that's such an expansive and simple
Mhm.
game as well. So many people have played it.
Mhm.
Is that something that if we were introducing video games to aliens or young kids, would you say play Minecraft?
I mean,
I think it's a
a
valid one.
top 5 of all time of like purchased games or whatever. So I think Minecraft's got to be on that list.
Yeah, I've
It's
never
also
played
simple
it,
enough
but
for
it's
somebody
huge.
to get down. Yeah, I mean, you can
Would
easily sit down and
Pokemon
play it.
Go make the list?
I don't think so. I do have like a list of like sports games, like Tecmo Bowl, NBA Jam, Ken Griffey Baseball, which was like almost like I just needed like a baseball game to throw in there. But I think Tecmo Bowl.
World
It's like
Cup
just-
on NES was one of my favorite.
I remember that one. That's fine with me. I don't think I have any other sports games. Oh, I have Tony Hawk. that might be one of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So like
they just remade it. They just remade it recently, right?
It comes out in like September. So
Yeah.
and they announced Skate 4. So EA has Skate 4, which the last Skate I still play, but it came out in like 2010. So it's just 10 years in the making. That game is so fun. Skate. I just like to try to kill my dude.
I think Shannon mentioned Assassin's Creed to me earlier.
Yeah, see, I have Assassin's Creed 2 on here, like as like if I could pick one. I think you're a Black Flag person.
Yeah, I like Black Flag. The map is just so much more fun. You get to explore and do a lot more side quests, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like when there's more to a game than the main mission, I guess.
Well, and getting to it's definitely like more beautiful, like going to like all the islands or whatever. Like it's just like, and then the ship aspect, being able to to go out on a ship. It's like a whole different game. It's like two games in one with that. So I have no problem with Black Flag. I mean, it's probably second or third on my list for Assassin's Creed. But I'm such
that was
like
the
like
first game
Ezio is so good.
Yeah, this first game she got onto like a modern system because the last thing she played was what, PlayStation 2, I think.
Yeah, PS2.
Yeah, so it was like, you know, reintroduction to modern gaming. So I think for me it's sentimental because I got to like teach her how to game again with the new modern controller and everything. And so she got really good really fast, and I was, now she's playing with us with GTA and Red Dead and all this other stuff, which is, just complex. So.
Yeah, a little more controls.
Final Fantasy VII.
See, I put like Final Fantasy VII is like the one like I'm okay with. I've played through that one, and actually I think I have it installed on my Xbox right now. So I think it was like a Game Pass or like a Xbox with gold, games with gold. It was something from about a month ago, but I think I had it.
I was looking at that.
And PS1, my brother and I played that all the time. We played Tomb Raider, Legends of the Dragoon. We had Final Fantasy VII. 64, we played a lot of Gauntlet Legends, strangely, but
what is Gauntlet Legends?
it's kind of like it's an RPG.
Oh, that's probably why I never.
It was
played.
an arcade game. It had like you had the wizard, the barbarian, and like some other thing, and you'd like go like slap like ghouls and goblins and dragons and shit. You could ride the dragons and have like a little tail you could like kind of whack.
Okay. Is Halo worth mentioning for anybody?
I think if you're gonna put like a shooter in there, like I would say Halo would be like one that you could use to substitute like the Modern Warfare for sure, because that was that was like the first after GoldenEye. That was the next biggest thing that was on a modern system.
Yeah,
and I think one of the first ones that had online multiplayer that wasn't PC for a console.
Correct. Which was a total disaster. But it was pretty fun. Like I think like Halo 2 was a lot more fun for me. Okay, I got this. Any like specific racing games other than like a Mario Kart? There's like Need for Speed, Forza's.
PS1.
Which one?
Ridge Racers.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know
PlayStation, the original PlayStation Ridge Racer. The original that was like
The original
first
PlayStation.
3D like high quality racing game. I would say probably Gran Turismo.
Yeah,
I think that was the
that
most
makes sense.
complex sim for console that came out.
Matt, what's your go-to racing game? You mentioned one. Was it Need for Speed?
Yeah, I still have the copy of Need for Speed Shift. Yeah, this is an obscure one, but I always felt like
Where'd you pull that out of?
Do we have to ask?
It just seems like you just
find out.
That's an odd question.
Wow.
You saw those plier things earlier, right?
Yep. No,
Wow.
I mean, I always think of Spy Hunter as like the first like kind of racing game,
Oh yeah.
But again, it was like it reminds me a lot like when I think of the original Grand Theft Auto top down, it reminds me a lot of Spy Hunter. Spy Hunter was a simple game, just straightforward. You're just driving a line, moving right and left to avoid the oil slicks or the bombs or whatever. Real simple. And then you drive up into the back of the semi at the end. So it's not as much as a racing game. But I felt like that's one of the ones, it's still arcade. I don't know if they ever made it for like a console or anything, like, if they made it for Atari or any of those.
Nintendo, I think.
But
Super Nintendo, maybe.
What was the Atari racing game?
Pole Position.
Yeah,
That's
that
what I was
might.
thinking.
yeah.
Oh
that
my
might
God.
be the
Low,
start.
high. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it was just so hard, but so simple. That's the thing about I think a lot of these older games is that the puzzle of the game is simple, but it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think like you could go back to pole position and be
yeah.
like, oh man, I could bust this out in minutes.
Yeah,
But it's like, oh my
Shannon
God, I
called
can't.
it out for me. For me, my racing game is Super Nintendo F-Zero.
F-Zero? Yeah. I mean, I
Oh
feel
my
like
God,
that's.
I love that game.
Yeah,
So
that's
good.
a lot of fun. I still have it. Do you have your Super Nintendo?
I had the little mini one that they
You
came
bought
out
the
with.
new one?
Yeah, because you can hook it up with HDMI and it compresses it and it looks good on a modern TV. and it plugs into a modern TV, which a lot of them don't have the component cables anymore.
Yeah.
So I would recommend that as a Father's Day gift, birthday gift, Christmas gift.
Oh, I am the
Sure.
number one dad.
Yeah, I saw that.
I bust this out once a year, and so this is my one time to wear. It's just like
Oh,
such a
cool.
generic hat.
It's kind of high, but I like
Yeah,
it. I
it's
saw it earlier.
like it's old school.
Well,
It's
so is Colin.
Snapback.
So,
kind of high.
Wait. How many holes you got out there? You got that thing stretched out.
It's a
You got a big-
tiny. No, I don't have. I have a smaller head, but it's
So say, like, fuck.
it's a tiny little hat.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Normally this would be like all the way.
Yeah.
Normally, like this is how my hats are,
Yeah.
but this one is a very small hat. Okay, we're down to 10 minutes. Oregon Trail.
Ooh.
that
Yeah,
was
that's
one
a
I
good
was
one.
going to mention earlier. I mean, who hasn't played that?
An alien coming to Earth.
Thank
They
you.
would like-
That needs to. Oh, wow.
My dysentery. What the fuck is this? Bullshit.
Route missed.
Why have I been bitten by snakes like 8 times? What is happening?
Yeah, Miss. Well, that was like the point and
Missed.
click.
Yeah, that's a different style.
Yeah, that's pretty.
You
Yeah,
had prompts.
that's like.
Yeah.
You'd be like, go 10 steps to the left or whatever.
Yeah.
You've hit a wall.
You just took this to like another nerd dimension. I
I
like
only
it.
played it in school,
I
so I
like it.
felt like it was just a secret way to get people to read, because it was just a reading video game, right?
What
You
about
just
World of
read,
Warcraft?
and
Online?
it basically was teaching you about history and about the suffrage they went through on the Oregon
The
Trail.
diseases you
and
die
just,
from.
You know, all it
Sure.
was
Yeah.
top secret tool to teach you stuff about history and how to read.
Not good.
No, hunting was part of Oregon Trail.
That's true.
It's
The
like the
re-
precursor to Red Dead.
So Red Dead
Yeah,
is
but
basically
wasn't
Oregon
it like-
Red
Trail.
Dead.
Like
The-
click the space
Red Dead.
bar to go hunting, and then it like has some dots and it says you were unsuccessful hunting.
It's
Click
It's
the
pretty
space bar
bad.
to hunt again, or click the shift button to go back to your canvas wagon.
yeah, those are good old days. Yeah, I mean, is it Red Dead? Is that worth? Is that too
Red
complex?
Dead 2 would be a good one, an alternate to GTA, just because it is so well done and it's kind of got like a history component to it that the aliens might find interesting. World of Warcraft Online, I never played it, but
Yeah,
I
me
think
neither.
it's a huge like MMO. I think it was like the MMO for so long.
Then you have to do the Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
all the, like Morrowind.
I'm thinking
and all
like
that stuff.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't play a lot of those.
Well, it's like Skyrim. Like that's just so freaking big, and that's a year older, 2 years older than GTA, and that's still super popular.
Mm-hmm.
I think I bought it in 2000. I think I got it for Christmas 2012. So I started this job, and somebody who used to work with us said, "Hey, you need to play this game." Bought it, played it for maybe 2 hours. I'm like, nope, not for me. It was just not something I was interested in. Man, none of the other stuff I have on my list. I mean, I have Castlevania.
Yeah, I mean
That might be okay, but probably not. Something we didn't really mention or any type of game like this would be like a SimCity 2000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or Sims.
Maybe.
Or
I mean,
what
yeah,
about
so they want to
what about
study
the
life.
what about the Teenage Mutant? Yeah, that would be a good. Like,
The Sims.
how can I control this human? Through his
Why
life.
do you have to pee every 2 minutes? You know, like
What happens if I wall you into this house and don't let you out?
Yeah, there you go.
it's the only thing I hated about the Sims.
Oh, you get me hot and bothered, baby, with all that murder talk. So there's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Simpsons.
Yeah,
What else? There's 4-player games. The X-Men. I think that's a cool one.
X-Men was fun.
So your alien buddies can like get on there and be like, oh yeah, like hanging out.
What about Game Boys? Portable games. You guys play those?
Yeah, oh for sure. Yeah, that was one of my favorite Christmases. Was getting the original Game Boy.
I did.
It was a
My
lot of
parents hated me.
Tetris, though. It was a lot of
Yeah,
Tetris.
Tetris was #1 on the Game Boy.
I did have
Yeah.
what was the Ninja Turtles on the original? I don't remember what it was, but it was
just
decent.
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on like Nintendo. That one?
Well, this was on Game
Like-
Boy, but it's probably the
Oh,
same.
Game
like,
Boy.
generic.
Yeah. I never had a Game Boy. I wanted one real bad. Wasn't that?
Nope.
End the podcast. Bye.
Goodbye.
Wow.
So yeah, I think Matt needs a new phone.
Yeah, apparently.
Mhm.
So we'll hold it down. I guess till he gets back.
I thought he was trying to. I thought like last time when we tried, like he was going to do like on his laptop, but apparently that failed. And he's back. And he's sideways.
Oh, gosh.
There we go.
What?
I wonder if we vomited right now. One of us did. Would you vomit, and then you guys would vomit, and then our audience would all vomit?
Let's not like the brown note where we're going to play the brown note.
Yeah.
The world
That
poops.
perfect frequency for constipation.
The only other thing I have on here was I tried to think of like something scary or horror or whatever. It was either Resident Evil or Resident
Yeah.
Evil 4. And that was I stopped. I can't tell you what's the best.
When Resident Evil, when that fucking dog jumps out the window,
Yeah.
that alien's gonna pull out his ray gun and shoot the fucking screen after he shits his pants.
Bam. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's that's pretty horrifying. I mean, I can remember like vividly playing Resident Evil, the original, the first time on my PlayStation. That was pretty intense. Matt, did you ever play Resident Evil?
I did.
You ever play
I
scary
think
games?
I vaguely remember that part about the scary dog that gets you every time. Like you know it's coming. Oh my gosh.
That's what she said.
Yeah, just walking through the hallway, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah, it's after you go. It's after you encounter the first zombie. Come around the corner, it goes to that cutscene, and it's like,
yeah, it's super creepy.
and then you're like struggling with the controls and trying to like not die, and then you're like, hey, it's cool. I survived that. And you walk in the hall, that fucking dog comes out. You gotta run from the dog. You know, it's a weird perspective where you gotta like, kind of like, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, because it's like from view from behind, and you're like running all the way down. It is bizarre. Obviously, it was set up for that reason, but
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us, yeah. And see, I want to try this new one too, but apparently it's just completely epic. But yeah, that's not bad. The Last of Us.
I saw a post. Someone said they started watching the prologue of that game and they were crying.
Wow.
They got emotional. So
It's a good storyline. All right, we're down to 2 minutes. So last calls for anything that we're missing.
Last calls, really unrelated to the rites of passage. I sent you guys that link, and I don't know if you guys like simulators like this, but you know, I grew up playing the TIE Fighter, X-Wing, TIE Fighter versus X-Wing. So they've got like, to me, this is like the reincarnation of that in a modern game system. So I don't know if you guys are interested in playing that, but I'm definitely going to be getting a copy, which is the Star Wars Squadron.
Yeah, Squadron. It's a new one.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Any last calls? Anything else you can think of?
Gibraltar here.
You kind of look. Apex Legends apparently for Matt, and
Gibraltar here.
And Shannon. Anything else you can think of?
God of War is pretty good too.
God of War. See, I never played it, but I've watched like 100 videos just on YouTube, and it's pretty good.
Would you put Fortnite on here because it's so big?
It is massive. I mean, it got really weird, but it's probably worth it. It's a good call. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, she'd have to tell me, I guess. All right. Well, that is it. I would say questionable on Fortnite. But thank you. Thank you, Gibraltar.
I got you, brother. Or whatever. Border, yeah. Hey,
I
brother.
suggest we land here.
We were debating about doing this whole podcast in a southern slow accent.
And
We were testing the mic out. But
takes
It
6
would have
hours.
taken too long.
Taking
it would
too
take
long.
It would take too long.
Wow.
Matt
All
would
right,
have loved it because Matt's an ordinary southerner. Look at him.
Take them to a
I'm
NASCAR
very
race.
southern.
He's like, I love that fucking NASCAR mode on GTA. Fuck yeah, draft.
He does.
Yeah.
He does love that.
I also own a NASCAR game, and I'm in a
Not
NASCAR
surprised.
fantasy league.
Oh,
So
God.
check yourself.